Whenever you talk about economy of a particular region, we talk about the economic development of various sectors. Now, what kind of sectors we have? Sectors means basically what type of industries we have, what type of work availability we have, what is the engagement, the occupation of the people, right? So when we're talking about these, we can see in the state of Maharashtra, we have the share of GSVA. Look at this agriculture sector part. Now let's understand the economic survey. The latest survey that was undertaken was in the year 2016-17, and accordingly the gross state value added in agriculture, the contribution of agriculture basically to the turnover, or to basically you can say the total value of sales of revenue was 12.2%, whereas uh, other areas were contributing 87.8%. So employment was in these sectors. The work which was done was in this sector. So later on, if you see the earlier survey, which was taken up in the year 2001 2, we find agricultural sector was having 15.3% contribution, which was on the higher side. Now, why did the decline happen from 15.3% to 12.2%? The first reason that you can see here is the scattered land holdings. So basically, if you see, agriculture is a very important sector which needs to have cultivation on bulk, right? You have very much of problems like weather conditions, then pests are there, then you could have the crops which are affected because of a number of other factors. Labor may not be available. There are many things which you have to take care in agriculture, and most importantly, you need to make a produce, because see, it's a perishable commodity, so the production has to be on a large scale, mitigating, reducing all the amounts of losses. So basically, in the case of this particular state of Maharashtra, what happened? There was increase in small and marginal farmers. So small lands were there, which were more than the bigger lands. So if you're not having a big land, you cannot have mechanization of agriculture. You cannot have like equipments which are on the high end type. So you're still using bullock carts. You're not using the tractors or any such equipment. You may be using many traditional means of seed planting, of harvesting, of cleaning the grains, and so on. So unless and until it becomes machine based, it becomes an activity which has less dependence on labor and less dependence on climate. It will still have the basic problems, and so many people in this particular state started selling off their lands because they had scattered land. It was no use. Whatever was produced was very less. These scattered land holdings was a major problem. The second thing is, if you see, the problem was of the decline was because of excessive use of chemical fertilizers, which led to soil degradation. So whatever the soil was available in this particular state was not up to the mark, and so if you sow the crops also, the seeds also of the crops, you're not getting the expected harvest because the soil is already gone, it's spoiled. Another important thing is, whenever there is some climate issue, whenever there is some problems happening in your cultivation, the farmers did not get much of support, and so support from banks, let's say, and so they had to go to traditional methods of money lending. So money lenders, the you can say the market which is not an organized structured market like banking, they had to go to the unorganized market and get the money. And what happened in this case? Agricultural indebtedness started rising. It was also with the banks and also with money lenders. So both ways the agricultural indebtedness started rising, which led to less of profitability in the sector and less of cultivation which was done, and so they started declining. They started reducing on the produce that was got from the land. Then we also have poor land reforms and adverse crop patterns. So if you find two crops can be planted together and without any issues. It's actually possible, right? Harvesting two crops at the same time, like on the border line you have crops like turmeric, and in the center you may be planting like crops like which could be wheat, for example. So two crops harvested at the same time, and having kind of, you can say, an interdependency on each other and benefit. Or there could be flowers like marigold, plus there are other crops. Okay, so this can save the other crops from insects, from issues which are like pests. But this kind of implementation of strategies did not take place, so adverse crop patterns happened, and that's why agricultural sector saw a decline. Then land reforms. So if you want to bring together all the small farmers and big create a big cooperative society kind of thing for the purpose of their benefit, this kind of reform strategy, which should have been brought properly, clearly, transparently, and beneficially to the farmers, did not happen. And so, since the implementation of land reforms and crop patterns did not take place, so agriculture started losing its charm and losing its productivity, and so there was a decline in the contribution. Then, most importantly for agriculture is irrigation, which was not sufficient, though there are dams, a lot of dams in Maharashtra, but still we find they are not sufficient for whatever agricultural activity is there. And at the same time, many of these dams, the utilization of the water in this dam goes to bigger farmers who have some kind of political attachment or certain things which are creating issues. So dry land and inadequate irrigation facility is a very important problem which led to the issue of decline in agricultural sector. Improper implementation of rural development plans. So, see, population staying in the rural areas needs support, not just like you give them the funds and subsidies and grants, but see to it that they use this particular subsidy, grant, or benefit given by the government for the purpose of agriculture. Otherwise, there were cases where many farmers took the benefit and used it for things like marriage or constructing their own house or such other things. So funds were got for the government for agricultural activity, but used for a purpose other than agriculture. So obviously what happened, the implement, there were a lot of strategies and very good plans which were existing, but implementation of these did not take place well. When you produce something, goods are produced, what happens, the most important thing you have to do is you should find a market. They should get sold out, and especially it's very important for the things like agricultural goods because they are perishable. But what happened in the case of the agriculture of Maharashtra, the proper marketing strategies were not helped out with. Farmers did not get that linkage which should have been there from them to the marketplace. And if at all they had any agencies in between, these agents paid them a very low price. So this was the big issue. So proper marketing strategies, proper cold storage facilities also required. All these facilities were not available, and that's why again the decline happened. Of course, you cannot ignore the impact of climate change because a lot of things everywhere in the world have changed because of the climate. And agriculture specifically has faced a lot of issues like untimely monsoons. So if you have excess monsoon, excess rain also, it creates problems in sowing to reaping, everything. And so this is something which is not in the hands of the farmers, but it has led to the decline in the sector. So, with this case analysis, you can say of the Maharashtra's agricultural sector, what we understood was the problems. Now, with the economic survey which was happened in 1718, what they suggested and what measures were taken, this is also important. So, there were a lot of measures which came into force because of the suggestions from the year 1718. Now, what were they? They were the distribution of quality seeds, and that too at a reasonable price. Second is they started outlets for fertilizers and pesticides so that they are easily available and you can cultivate with ease. Then development of irrigation facility, which is very important. So you, even if you have a dam, you don't have a canal which connects that particular region, or you may not have pipelines, you may not have the pumping that is required. So all these facilities were also encouraged, grants were given, benefits were given, so that there is more sustainable kind of water supply that happens. Then electrification of agro pumps and provide electricity on demand. So you have electrification of pumps, but if electricity is not available on time, it's not possible. So both were something which was combined together, and it started getting implemented. Then financial assistance. So banks were also encouraged to give the assistance that was needed. It was seen to it that the grants, subsidies, and whatever the benefits were given to the people actually were passed on to them. There was some kind of strategy formulation which was done. How far it got implemented and how far it benefited, that's again a different story. But it was given as a measure for the purpose of development of agriculture. Then they also set up agriculture produce marketing committees. So for the purpose of marketing, as we saw that marketing was something where agriculture of Maharashtra was lacking in. And so this APMC, that is agricultural produce marketing committee, which was formed, would be a help. And this was established for the purpose of agro exports, horticulture training centers, right? Grading and packing facilities for effective distribution. So, horticulture centers, like you have training programs also given by the government. If you wish to cultivate, let's say, suppose mushrooms. So, a facility, a center is allotted, and you can enroll there and get the benefit, or get the understanding. A clear course is provided on how to cultivate mushrooms at a low price, right? So the center gives you everything like cost analysis, project reports, how to get the benefit of agriculture subsidies for this particular sector. So everything, education for that particular cultivation is given there, and based on that you can start your own farming, which is a very good project and initiative by the government. And finally, they also did mass awareness creation with the help of social media and other platforms, news channels. They launched certain things like, you can say, series on how agriculture can be done, ask questions like, Kisan networks and all that. So farmers can directly connect to an expert who can guide them on that particular topic, like whether to use a particular fertilizer, how the soil testing is done, and so on. So this was a huge awareness which was created on mass media, and that was helpful.